The time is now 12:01 p.m. Central Time, and I am your host, Dr. Matthew Richardson, and this is another stream of CosmoQuest Astro Office Hours. Um, Today, I'm not going to be working through a problem. I'm actually going to be doing some real work. But before getting into all of that, let me go ahead and first verify that I am streaming. So let's see. Come on, Chrome. Alright. Alright, so I'm now at Twitch. Let's see if it's definitely showing. Let's see. That Am I live? Am I live? Alright. I am live, but I don't have access to the chat. So let me see if I can just do a quick refresh and see if that'll give me access to the chat. And it did not. Alright. So let's quit Chrome. Oh, Sky is also live right now. Cool. Alright. Let's see. That's weird. I mean, I know that I'm live. I've logged on to CosmoQuest and it shows a video of me right now, but it still says that CosmoQuest is offline. Weird. What is going on? Well, this problem must be figured out because, I mean, I'm not going to be able to communicate with you guys until I can actually access the chat. And that typically happens when it shows that CosmoQuest is actually live. All right. Do this one more time. Third time's a charm. I'm going to completely quit Chrome. I'm going to boot it back up. We're going to navigate back over to Twitch TV. All right, there it goes. See, the third time worked. It just took a little bit of time for, Twitch to catch up there. All right, so let me go ahead and pop out the chat, and then I can go ahead and get rid of this window and keep up my chat window. As a quick test, just quickly say hi to everyone who's currently here in the chat. By first typing it out, and then actually physically seeing who's here. And again, it typically takes Twitch a little bit of time to catch up with this as well. But hello, Susie. Hello, Electrical Skateboard. Hello, Michael T. Mayer. Hello, Peter. And hello, Tchaikovsky. Hello. And welcome. So the plan today is to actually figure out a problem in some code that I not recently wrote, but in some code that I wrote a while ago. And so to kind of give you guys a little bit of background, this particular code is related to the Moon, Mercury, and Mars mapper projects. So a while ago, one of our collaborating scientists passed along some code that he had wrote to be able to do some basic data production for those projects. However, that code was written in a programming language called Igor Pro, which I really know very little about, but his code is commented really well. And basically the idea was for me to take his code and translate it into C++. And so I've done that. However, there are problems with my translation, and it's not so much problems with me understanding his code and being able to translate it. It's just that my code has the tendency to change the values when I rerun the code, even though I haven't made any changes to the code, it's almost like there's a random number generator in there somewhere, and it's changing the values when there isn't one there. So I will definitely give more background in just a second so you guys can understand exactly what the problem is specifically, but let's set things up really quick. Let's go to the chat. Hey, Larry. So who is Igor Pro? So Igor Pro is actually the name of a programming language. So I think that's the name of. Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm debugging. I'm about to show you the problem in just a second. So let me set things up to make sure you guys can see the font. So I'm going to go ahead and increase some of the font. All right. I don't want it on that one. I want it on this one. All right. This is good enough. All right. So to explain the problem. So as many of you already know, CosmoQuest has has 4 mapper projects, but 3 of them we typically call the Triple M projects, the Moon, Mercury, and Mars mapper projects. Specifically, I'm going to talk more about the Moon Mapper project for this particular code that I've written. So with the Moon Mapper projects, we have, I believe, 26 LRO narrow angle camera images. We've taken each image and we've cut them up into smaller slices. Now, if we were to take one of those master images or one of those LRO images, we've cut it up into slices in such a way that certain slices are scaled differently relative to other slices. That is, the physical dimensions of one slice can be very different from the physical dimensions of another slice. And we've done this in such a way that there's 3 different types of slices. So the smallest scale slice has 450 pixels by 450 pixels. The second to smallest scale slice has 1,350 pixels by 1,350 pixels, and the largest scale slice has 4,050 pixels by 4,050 pixels. And so what you can imagine is that at the smallest scale, the 450 pixels by 450 pixels, we have some number of images that if you were to combine these slices together, you could reconstruct the entire LRO image. And you can do this with every single scale slice. So let's say like 200 450 by 450 image slices can be put together to reconstruct the entire image. We could do the exact same thing with, let's say, like, for example, 50. I'm just throwing out random numbers here. 50 1,350 pixel by 1,350 pixel slices. Those can be combined together to reconstruct the entire image. And the same can be done with the 4,050 by 4,050 pixels image slices. All right. So with that said, we request for our citizen scientists to evaluate these slices by marking craters within these image slices. Okay, I think so far so good with the explanation. Hopefully you guys I haven't like messed that explanation up. But basically, I'm doing some basic statistics on how our users are marking the craters within these image slices. And so let me go ahead and explain what's going on here on the screen. Let's just make sure that you guys can see what I can see. Yep. And I'm going to also try to make sure I keep up with the comments better. So yes, I'm pretty sure given the information I have in my database, I could find out exactly which images that you have. Well, assuming that I would know your username for our for the mapper projects. I mean, I could look and find out exactly which slices that you have, marked. But I'm not going to do that, of course. Um, really, what I'm concerned about is general statistics, right? I don't want to know specifically what one particular user does. I want to know what a bunch of users have done. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I could do that, but I'm not going to do that online, of course, because I don't want people to know your user information. But like given that if you want to know what you've done so far, you could always ask me, and I could look it up for you personally. Um, so, and before I even say that, I probably should see if I have the permission to even do something like that. So let me not say I can just do that for you. But yeah. So the issue is this. Oh, don't worry. Even if it was a long time ago, I mean, my copy of the database um, has all the information from even when these projects were first started. So unless like there have been drastic changes between when the project started to like roughly now, then yeah. Yeah, but I will say this though. Um, Even being a postdoc is better than being a graduate student as far as pay is concerned. Oh God, I don't even want to go back to those days. But let's see. So the major issue right now that I'm seeing is that a few of one particular, actually not one, probably let's see, two values are coming out really weird. And again, there is no random number generator within my code, so everything, once the program runs, it should be deterministic. It should always give the exact same solution. But I'm going to run the code for you. But first, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can recompile. And right now, I'm kind of getting this whole little colorful Willy thingy saying that it's having issues with loading something, I guess. Well, that's weird. It's doing it over my terminal. My terminal's not responding. Oh, there it goes. It kicked in. All right. So let's go ahead and first recompile. So there's nothing to recompile. Everything's compiled. It compiled perfectly. Perfect. And now I'm going to rerun. Let's clear. Let's do a fresh start here. I'm going to rerun the simulation. I've changed no parameters. And the key thing I should note are the parameters are set on this line here. I'm going to highlight it so that you guys can see. So everything that that would change the output that you're going to see right now, I would have to make changes to this very line or to the rest of somewhere else in the source code. And I'm not going to make any changes. So I'm going to go ahead and run the algorithm. It takes no parameters. It's just /analysis tools. It'll do some it's retrieving information from the CosmoQuest database that I have on my computer, my personal copy of it. It takes time, and it'll take longer time because I have more apps open on my computer right now, including OBS. So, and everything should scale the same way. It typically takes about 15 seconds for it to retrieve the marks data, the user marks data from the database. But given that I have more apps open on my computer, it'll take a little bit longer. It could take a bit longer. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on what the scaling factor is. Which I'll be able to determine in just a second, hopefully. All right, so it takes 15 seconds usually. So 60 is like 4 times. So it's going to take 4 times as long for the program to run. And right now, this information is unimportant. Well, it's important, but it's unimportant for my problem right now that I'm having. Okay, it does that. Cool. All right, this next bit of information is about to come out is the important part of everything. at least for this particular function in the utilities class, separate. All right. So, reading from this, can I highlight? Okay, there we go. Reading from this line down, this is the important information. So there are a total of 75,256 craters. Cool. As far as terminology is concerned, a crater is the same thing as a mark. And so there should be 75,256 marks. Perfect. This NAC or LRO image, the word NAC stands for narrow angle camera, which is basically an LRO image. So this LRO image contains 194 slices, the image slices I was explaining earlier, at scale level 0, which corresponds to the slices that have 450 pixels by 450 pixels. It has 28 slices at scale level 1, which corresponds to images that have 1,350 pixels by 1,350 pixels. And then lastly, there are 5 slices at scale level 2, which corresponds to images that have dimensions of 4,050 pixels by 4,050 pixels. That doesn't change. It's always the same every time I run the algorithm over again. These next few lines indicate exactly. So, for example, with this next line, it says two. Wait, my face is covering up stuff. So let me go ahead and move my face up. There we go. And I'm gonna go back to this. All right. This next line, it says 2 users have evaluated each level 0 slice. So basically what that's saying is that 2 of the users in our database have evaluated every single level 0 slice. And next to that in parentheses, it states while 0 level 0 slices have not been evaluated, basically indicating that all level 0 slices have been indicated by either 1 or more users. Cool. And then the next 2 lines after that are basically the same thing, but for level 1 slices and for level 2 slices. That information is always the same. There were 75,262. Now this particular number changes. If you notice, it says that there were 75,262 crater identifications. However, that number is higher than the total number of craters that I stated earlier. The very first line that's highlighted in blue says there's 75,256. But now there's 75,262 crater identifications. So somehow, between the output of the 75,256 craters to where it's now stating that I've identified what looks to be 6 more craters, there's something going on there. Some magic is going on, like a gremlin somewhere in my program tinkering around. And what I've been able to notice is that these extra craters that are being added on are all associated with craters that are associated with the man versus machine. So I'm going to just simply highlight that in particular. They're always associated with this particular part of the algorithm. This number will fluctuate. So I'm going to rerun the algorithm. Again, I've made no changes. All I'm going to do is simply rerun it. All right, it's running again. So we should expect that it'll take again probably another like over a minute for it to fully, output the information I want it to output. All right, let me check comments because I've been talking a lot here. Ooh, reading chemistry and physics. That sounds cool. Hey, Susie. I hope everyone else isn't having any issues with the stream. So Big J saying that the stream is buffering badly today. Oh, it might run a little bit faster. by like a couple of seconds. All right, good. You're not having any buffering problems. All right. Yes, Good Friday is a holiday in the U.S. Yeah, I think holidays like for example like Good Friday, um, what is it Palm Sunday or something like that. I think those are like holidays probably everywhere. I don't know, maybe. All right, so like I was saying earlier, everything else seems to say the same except for this the number of craters that are associated with the Man versus Machine app. So we'll notice. I'll take a quick note here that it now reads 3,044 craters, whereas before, and all I have to do is just scroll up a little bit. It read 3,043 craters. So it's increased by one crater, but everything else stays the same. And I've been trying to figure out exactly what's causing these fluctuations. Because sometimes it's either sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, but in general, it kind of hovers around the same range, same value. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what's causing these fluctuations. Um, I would say that there's something going on with the database, but the database should be constant. I mean, no information is being pushed in or being taken out of the database. So I really don't know what's going on. Show us the code for Man versus Machine. Cool. All right. So I'm gonna go now over to utilities. The utilities class, the source code for it. And so the portion of the code that is responsible. Let me quickly look at something really fast. All right, 0. All right. The portion of the code that's responsible for generating that particular value. Nope. Scroll up. Is here. So based off of application ID, which indicates whether it's going to be simply craters, Man versus Machine, or some unknown app. Which I mean, I know what the app would be, but for right now, it's the app. Other apps are unimportant. This is how it updates the number of craters or marks for that particular app. So if application ID is equal to 1, we know that it's going to be a simply craters marking. If application ID equals 2, it's going to be a Man versus Machine. And if it's some other app ID, it's going to be an unknown app or an app that I don't really care about for the purposes of what this code does. So, I mean, this is the only place, given the current parameters I'm passing to this function, this is the only place where Man versus Machine will be updated. But for some good reason, it changes. And so what I've been... So that's the thing about it, though. Sometimes the number can be smaller than the total number of craters available. Sometimes... Oh, my head is blocking the code. Sorry about that. But yeah, sometimes the total number of craters that are evaluated can be smaller than the true number of craters, and sometimes it can be greater than, which is weird to me. Let's see. Okay. So the thing about it is that I don't update the database. My particular version of the database is constant. It's my personal copy. I can play around with it all I want. The actual database is being stored somewhere else, and is being primarily I'm losing words here, but it's being controlled, for lack of better words. Not controlled. I don't want to say that, but it's being maintained by our lead programmer. So my copy is completely independent of the actual live database. So yeah, I don't know what's going on here. And so what I've been doing lately is just outputting information to the screen and trying to see if that information changes. Information that isn't already being output, that is. But yeah, this should be pretty constant. Like I said again, there's no like random number generators in my code anywhere. Nowhere. So I mean things should be, fairly constant, assuming that no changes are being made. And the only thing I could come up with was that somehow the database was being changed, or there's gremlins in my code doing something that, I can't explain. It's magic. Um, but yeah, let me get back to just doing these printouts. I probably should also explain. So what is controlling the indices? So we're going to start at this outer loop here. All right, this is the outermost loop. This for loop here, I equals 0, and we're going to iterate over a vector that is it's a special vector. It's basically a vector that stores variables of a mark type. And so what I mean by this is that each mark, so let me go here. So I've defined a class called marks, and each mark possesses this information. So select star, what happened there? Let's do this. Select star from marks. Let's limit it to 1. So each mark variable or class variable stores all of this information. It stores the mark ID, the corresponding user ID, which is how we can relate a particular mark to a user. The image ID, this is how we relate a particular mark to one of those sliced images I was talking about earlier. Application ID, this is how we relate the mark to whatever application it comes from. Then there's other information like the image user ID, the machine mark ID, shared mark ID, the X, Y, and diameter of the mark. And then there's other information as well. But yeah, each mark variable stores all of this information. And I basically have a vector of these mark variables. And so that's what this particular sub-image marks. It's storing all of those marks, but it's storing them in such a way that I've grouped marks that are all associated with a single sub-image. So this is really like a double vector, really, to be very honest. At the outermost layer, or at the outermost, how can I put this? It's, if anyone knows C++, this particular variable sub-image marks, it's a vector of vector marks. So I guess another way of putting it is that it's a two-dimensional variable, where the first dimension would correspond to which sub-image I'm referring to, and the second dimension corresponds to the marks that are associated with that particular sub-image. Okay. Well, what happened there? Let's make sure I got that right. Yes. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My my knowledge of MySQL is very basic. If I need to get hold of information, I mean I can go online and figure out what the proper syntax and stuff is. But count one. I don't think I've ever actually executed this particular command, and I'm wondering exactly what does the count one correspond to. I know count star or asterisk, but I see that it's put out some information there, and it's clear that you're looking at. I'm assuming you're looking at the marks, of course, for all the marks that are associated with the Man versus Machine app. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so count one returns only a single instance of what it finds. And count star returns the exact same thing. Whoa, that is interesting actually. This is a completely different value from what I'm seeing in the database. Okay. I'm starting to wonder now. Thanks, Big J. Okay. But yeah, now this is actually quite interesting because it's saying here that after I've selected all the marks, and then I've cut the list such that I only want to look at the ones that have an application ID of 2, which will correspond to marks that are associated with the Man versus Machine app. There's 150,000-ish of these marks, but my program doesn't put out that much. Oh, okay. So from field 1, is that? No, I completely understand, man. You're up there doing chemistry and physics right now. That's pretty hardcore. Okay. So this is actually, I mean, I'm happy that you just told me to do this. I didn't think about doing this before. I just naturally assumed that I was probably gathering all the information that I should be gathering from the database, but it appears though I'm missing a lot, a ton of marks here. All right, let me see something really quick. Let's do this. I want to get rid of the fact that I'm using the application ID. Oh, but wait a second. Wait. I'm only looking at the marks for a single LRO image. That's the reason why. That accounts for the reason why that I don't have all the marks. Because I'm only looking at marks for a single LRO image. So maybe I need to find some way of being able to isolate that information within MySQL. Is there a way I can do that? So, oh, and that's probably where the field 1 corresponds to. I understand where you're going with this now. Let me do that again really quick. So, let's do this. And I think this should give me the order. Describe marks And I think you said field 1. Field 1 is the ID, I'm assuming. So I would want to be able to do... Would it be field 3? If this is field 1 and this is field 2, would I want to do field 3? Is that how I would think of this? Ah, okay. So what if I want to be able to specify, I want to be able to specify field ID. Okay, thank you. That's exactly what I want. Select count 1 from marks where... Gotcha. All right, I'm with you. Let me just copy and paste what you put there. Guys, you guys are lifesavers right now. Seriously. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste that. And so my image ID that I'm submitting, and I'll show you guys that information, is this value right here. It's 3. So I'd want the image ID to be 3. I don't like the spaces. All right. So select count 1 from marks where application ID equals 2, image ID equals 3. Let's run it. That returns 0. Let's see something else. Let's see if I put a star. Does that do it? Nope. Still 0. All right. It's weird. Or maybe the capital C. I don't think it should matter though. Select counts from marks where application ID equals 2. Wait. 3 is not the image ID, it's the image set ID. Alright, this is actually a little bit more problematic than I expected. Okay, so the image ID actually corresponds to the ID for one of the sliced images. The value that I'm showing here, the number 3, corresponds to the image set ID, which is the ID for the entire LRO image. Alright. Nevertheless, you guys have actually given me an idea of how to go about doing this. So maybe what I want to do... Alright, let's do this instead. Okay. I want to print out... So let's go here. And so I can use either printf or I'll use cout because it's just easier. I want to print out this is related to a given subimage. I'm sorry guys if I'm blanking out here. Just give me 1 second. I'm thinking about what I want to actually output here. I need the subimage's ID. So if I go up, this is where I define the subimage IDs. And if I'm not mistaken, I can actually just use this very same line actually. Subimage ID. And that information should remain the same. I'm going to look at comments in just a second. I know that I'm kind of like blanking out here, and I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I want to be able to use it. Let's find it right here. All right. So if I do this, this will return the ID. So inline and then exit from here. This way I can determine exactly. So subimage ID, and I also want to know exactly how many marks. And that information is right there actually. So let's do this. I'm going to copy and paste. Alright. Put it here, but also put out the number of marks. That way I can be able to verify by looking in the database. So in marks, so I'll have the subimage ID and the number of marks associated with that subimage ID. And so I can know that this is the actual information. So subimage ID dash number of marks. All right, let's go ahead and save this or compile it. Oh no, it's not happy. Oh, 0 or some other number. Okay, it will compile. Good. I'm going to run that. Let's clear this first, and then let's run it. And then I'm going to quickly look at comments because that's going to take some time. All right. Oh, so field ID isn't an integer. It's the name of the field. I'm trying to remember. Okay, Scotty. Hey, Hanny, you're new to the stream. So right now my computer algorithm is throwing out some crazy values. More specifically, one particular value keeps changing, even though I'm not making changes to the actual algorithm. And nowhere in the algorithm is there some sort of like random number generator that will cause changes like that to occur. Yeah. All right. So the subimage ID is 7, and for the subimage ID of 7, I should have 316 marks. Assuming, of course, if that's correct, let's go ahead and check it with the database. So using the same syntax, let's just say select count star for now from marks, where application ID is equal to 2. Let's remove the application ID because I think what I just output is independent of application ID. Let's just say select count star from marks, where the image ID is equal to 7. $316. All right. So that agrees with what I have here. 316. Okay, so far so good. All right. So now I need to make it app specific. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this exact same statement. So I'm going to move it. Move it to a spot where the application ID now becomes important. And that becomes important within this while loop here. Okay. So it runs through that. Good. Man versus machine. we're out, and then we're back here. All right, so here, I know the sub-image ID needs to be 7. And instead of it being in marks, I need to know exactly what I get from man versus machine. And I'm just going to put in here application ID equals 2. All right. So I'll compile and run this. And while it runs, I'll take a quick moment to look at comments. All right. So yeah, Henny's Vorwerp. I hope I didn't mess that up, but basically what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to correct this problem in my code. To kind of give a little bit of background on what the code does is that it outputs some basic statistics on the information that we're storing, that is CosmoQuest, is storing within our MySQL database for one of our projects called the Moon Mapper project. And basically the Moon Mapper project is asking the general public to analyze a few images that have been taken of the moon by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, where the objective of the citizen scientist or the person that's accessing the app is to mark craters. That is, mark their position and their diameter. Alright. I'll get back to explanation in just a second. Just let me look at this really quick. Alright. So sub-image ID is 7. And for the sub-image ID, or for the sub-image that has an ID of 7, there should be 0 marks for application 2. Alright. So if I go over to back to the MySQL database, and now I specify application ID, I would expect to get 0. No, I get 13. Interesting. All right. Someone said a comment. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm counting the number of marks per image. Or that's generally what I'm doing. I'm counting the number of marks per image, but then I'm separating those marks based off of another parameter called application ID. So it's almost kind of like I'm looking at the number of marks per image per application. And yes, I can see all the data within this all the data is being stored within our MySQL database, which is the tab that I currently have open in the bottom window. Sub image ID. All right, Big J. All right, so isn't it sub image ID? So no, in this situation, the image ID is the sub image ID. So the terminology within the MySQL database, the image ID is equivalent to me saying the sub image ID. All right. But no, guys, you guys have been extremely helpful though. Huh. All right. So why am I missing marks? They both agreed that there should be 316 marks in total. You know what? I think I actually want to print out. Would it do me any good to print that out? Maybe not, actually. Um, huh. Let's do this. I need to print out more information. That's 316 things, though. That's kind of crazy to be looking at. But let's just do it. I'm going to print out the application ID and the mark ID. And then I'll exit. So let's make some space. I'll use printf, make it look pretty. All right. So I know that I want the application ID. But before that, I want to be able to print out. So let's just get ID, which corresponds to the mark ID. So mark ID, and if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be integer, so that, and application ID, which should also be an integer. And then new line. Save that. I don't want it to go any farther than that. So I'll exit here. You know, whenever I debug, I really have to be careful of where I put these exits at, because if you put too many of them, you like end up forgetting, and then your program just starts shutting off when you think it shouldn't shut off. But yeah, let's see, exit 0. I think that should give me what I want to look at. So I'm going to compile this. Hopefully it compiles. It should. In a quick moment, I'm going to look at comments again. So I'm going to do some clears here because I need a lot of space to view this. And I don't want to just run, so let me just scroll up a little bit so I can be able to see all the output. And let's look at comments. All right. Can you print out the table for the image? So let's see. For this particular image, and that's kind of where I was going to go with this too. So select star from marks, where of course the image ID needs to be equal to 7, and application ID equals 2. And there should only be 13 of these. And it does show 7 and 2. Oh man, I just realized something. I'm about to print out every single entry. Alright, that's cool. What? Did I make a mistake here? Let's see. While oh, apparently I didn't do it for all the marks. Of course not. Of course that's not right. All right, so index less than marks. I do want this. I'm in the wrong spot. That's why. All right, let's get rid of that. Debugging is so much fun, guys. So much fun. Let's see where this is at. That's the for loop. This is the while loop. So this is where I think I want to put it. And so this will output all 300 entries, though. 306. I don't want 316 entries. Okay, so that probably explains some things. Let me put a condition on this print statement. If application ID is equal to 2, or is comparable to 2. All right, I think this is what I want. Because I don't want to print out 316 entries. I'd prefer just to print out the 13 entries that count. Let me look at comments really quickly too. Oh, my head's in I'm so sorry, guys. I keep forgetting. Let's do this. Maybe this might make it a little bit better. So yeah, I'm having a problem identifying the correct number of craters that are associated with the application ID value of 2. Everything else appears to be working correctly, except for that particular variable. That's right, guys. I have the power to change the distance between stars. It's magic. All right. It's outputting some information. Oh, I don't want it to just shoot through everything. Let me scroll up really quickly so I can control exactly what we're able to see. But if I'm lucky, it should output 13 lines. So I'm going to do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines. So that looks good, actually. If I go to the database, they're actually in as far as the mark ID is concerned, they're in order. They start at 1813050, and they end at, oh, it's actually some skipping in between there. All right, let me look at mine. The numbers look good. So what's going on here? Yeah, Hanny, I think you missed what I was showing earlier. Oh, it's now 1 o'clock. Well, the database is ordered correctly on ID. On this parameter here, ID, it's ordered correctly. It's just that some of the entries are not showing. Like, for example, the mark ID of, let's say, for example, that would be in between these two, or the few that would be in between, almost like 30 of them or more, actually. Like 330 entries are kind of like missing there. And that's because they are associated probably with a different app ID number. I'm pretty sure that that's the situation here. Um, Nevertheless, you guys have definitely increased my toolbox as far as understanding what sort of commands I could use to help me solve this problem. See, I love to have these moments of being able to talk with you guys. We get to talk about some good science, and you guys are so helpful when it comes to like solving these problems. Huh. All right. The time is now 1:02 p.m. I'm probably going to log off soon and go grab something to eat. But at the very least, I kind of have an idea of how I can go ahead and solve this problem. Can I post my code somewhere? I'm not too sure about that actually. So the code that I'm showing you guys here, it's actually it's code that I've basically translated from someone else's code. And so to be able to post the code anywhere, I probably would have to get their permission. Because the general thing of what this code does is pretty much the same thing as what someone else wrote. And I'm not too sure if they'll feel comfortable if I just do that. But if they're cool with it, yeah, I definitely have no problem posting it somewhere, to the point where you guys can exactly emailing it to you. So let me first verify that it's okay with them. And if it is, then I'll do something like that. Oh, the original code, it's right here with me. It's written in Igor Pro. Yeah, I can see it right now, but I'm not showing you guys the code, though. Again, that code is someone else's code, and I don't know exactly how they might feel about me putting their code out there. So to be respectful of that. Oh, is it online? No, it's not online. Yeah, the code was emailed to me, and so now I have my own personal copy of it. The code probably can be I'm pretty sure the person wouldn't mind if the code's passed around within CosmoQuest because it is for CosmoQuest, data. But they probably might. I don't know how they feel if I just put it out, in public. Yeah, I agree with you, Peter. Hey, guys, I was meaning to ask: has anyone heard from Truck Captain Stumpy lately? I haven't heard from him in a while. I'm probably going to reach out to him on Slack. Okay, then I'll do that, Michael. Thanks. Oh well, I mean, I have a diagram what the database looks like. But for fear of not wanting to share to share information that I shouldn't share, I'm just going to leave it at this because the information I'm outputting here though will more than likely be made publicly available anyway at some point. Yes, Susie, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, this information though is, just creator information. And eventually we're going to end up making this available to the public. And the bits that I'm showing, not to sound like, how can I put it? So the funny thing about when you do research is if you have access to a particular data set, you want to be able to do all the research, or answer all the questions you want to be able to answer, before probably allowing someone else to answer those questions before you get to them. And I know it's a funny thing about science in general, because all science, I do feel that all science should be, available to everyone. But if I have a really great idea and I have the data that's going to help me, like produce a publication from that idea, but then somebody else gets the information and they produce that publication before I can get it out, then I'm like, oh man, I'll feel bad. No, you don't have to worry about any sort of non-disclosure agreements. We'll. I'm pretty sure. It'll be. Yeah, I'll talk to the person and find out if it's okay. Thank you, Hanny. All right, guys. Yeah, it's 1:08, and I'm definitely going to go grab something to eat. And again, guys, thank you. I can't express exactly non-disclosure, but yeah, guys, I can't express the gratitude in words right now that you guys like show up like constantly, faithfully to these streams, and we get to talk about science, and beyond that, you guys are helping me with my research. So yeah, thank you guys. Well, this isn't actually, I guess, my research. This is actually another part of my job where it's my job to make sure that the database is being updated correctly and stuff like that, and it's working properly. But like I said, it's 1:08 p.m. Guys, thank you for stopping by. I'll be back on next week, Wednesday at 12 Central. Let's see. So, and before I log out, Uncle Bill during this did suggest another topic that I think is pretty cool. I believe it's related to cosmological redshift. And so yeah, we'll probably be discussing that next Wednesday. All right, guys. Thanks again, and happy Easter to you guys as well. All right, guys. Bye. Peter, I'm not too sure. I can definitely ask them and then maybe they can respond to that question. All right, guys. Bye.